But I will also say I'm very relational, and I want you to know that this is a relationship between the two of us. Therefore, if you feel, I want you to have
a canvas to show up authentically, to be accepted, which allows trust to develop, which allows deeper connections to develop.
Fueling this need to constantly be achieving, making progress, learning new things.
I often get a sense of that being a lack of, not necessarily lack, but maybe a dip in trust in themselves.
Yeah.
Like the pen and... Hi, welcome to the Therapy Floor. I'm Dr. Ritz.
And I'm Dr. Vicky.
Welcome back to the floor where we're diving into your dilemmas. Today's one is an interesting one because we've never covered this type of topic before. I mean, you're going to hear about it now. So let's just go.
Let's just go into
I was going to explain it, but I was like, no, let's just go.
Let's just do it. Okay. So I'm a 28-year-old man, and I've been seeing my therapist since I was 26, initially starting therapy to work through anxiety and low self-esteem at work. At first, our sessions were life-changing. I finally felt understood and gained tools to manage my anxiety. But lately, I've been feeling stagnant, like we're just rehashing the same issues without much new insight or progress. I sometimes leave sessions wondering if I'm still benefiting from therapy or if I've just grown comfortable with my therapist and the routine of it all. Part of me thinks a fresh perspective might help, but I feel loyal to my therapist after all we've worked on together, and I worry I'll feel guilty or regretful if I leave. Please help me to make sense of this. What a good dilemma.
It's a good one.
Yeah, a good one.
I have so many thoughts.
Yeah, me too. Go on, you start.
I don't know what to do, whether I just say them all.
Let them roll out. Just let them roll out.
Okay, I'm just going to bullet point them.
Okay.
So I'm thinking the anxiety. Did you go to therapy for your anxiety about taking care of other people? Because it sounds like you're taking care of your therapist. Here. Like you're worried that you can't say how you feel because you don't want to upset them, so you're looking after them. Your therapist doesn't want you to do that, firstly. Then I'm like, oh my God, I'm just so excited. If you brought this to your therapist, they'd be like, they would literally,
happy.
They would be like, yes! A good therapist would love this.
Yeah.
Would love you to bring this to them. And we often talk about this in our supervision. I know P will often say to me, well, when your client isn't happy with you, how do they tell you? How do they bring it up to you? How do you know? And that's where the fruit is.
Yeah.
That's where the work is. So I'm having those thoughts. Then I am really all over the place.
It's okay.
And then you can make sense of it. Then I'm also thinking, what's your history with endings? Why do you need a fresh perspective? Are you just done? Are you holding on to something? Is there anxiety about ending here? That you don't want to end something good. But actually you are getting that chafy, nappy feeling. One of our tutors said this to us when we were in our 3rd year of training.
I love how you remember all of these things because I never do. But go on.
She said to us, you know when you're ready, and it's not because you know everything, but it's because you're ready to go out there and not be on the training course anymore because it feels like a wet nappy you need to take off. She said, that's how you know. So I'm wondering if you're getting this chafing feeling, like I'm ready to take it off, but I'm scared. I'm scared of having the safety net.
Yeah.
Okay, I just did this.
Yeah. I want to add another thought there, which is your propensity to want to keep getting new insights. You know, you described your sessions with your therapist at the beginning as being life-changing. And I wonder if you're chasing that high still, and also if you're not accepting that every session, every day, even though we're developing and we're always learning, but not every milestone is going to be like, wow, I've just discovered something new. Are you addicted to discovery and to self-development in a really overt way? So I also want to add that there.
Now I've just had another thought. Is there a pressure to perform? Did that come from the work anxiety? Because you went about issues at work related to anxiety.
And self-esteem.
Yeah. But performance is linked to self-esteem. So if your therapist is not performing by giving you these great big insights, then are you not performing because you haven't got something to take away and do and work on those insights?
Yeah.
So are you actually maybe projecting your own need to perform onto your therapist?
Yeah. Yeah. I have another thought as well, but maybe we should start to unpack some of those things that we've suggested.
This is reminding me of when we do like voice note supervision.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, where we like, and then, and I just thought this, and wait, hold on. As I was like doing, I just had this, but let's unpack.
Let's unpack it. Let me try and remember the first thing that you said. Was it about taking care of your therapist?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's start with that.
Let's start with that.
Yeah.
Your therapist doesn't need you to take care of them. Actually, let me not say that, because we can't speak for all therapists, can we? Because there are also some degree of therapists.
Should we talk about the way we were trained?
Let's talk about how we were trained.
Because not every psychologist or therapist is going to be trained how we were trained.
Yeah, yeah. And may see things in a different perspective. But your therapist does not need you to take care of them.
Or should not.
Should not need you to take care of them.
That's not why you're there.
No. And when I have consultations with clients who are interested in engaging with my services and they ask me about how I work, I will always say I'm an integrative psychologist and I reel off like the different ways that I work, but I will also say I'm very relational and I want you to know that this is a relationship between the two of us. Therefore, if you feel, I want you to feel empowered to let me know. If I say something and you're like, actually, that doesn't resonate with me, Vicky, or I'm not quite sure you understand me, I want to hear it. I want you to let me know. And I can say, okay, yeah, I hear what you're saying. Let me adjust or let me change tack. And also, if I feel that I also will feel like I can bring my feelings into the room, not to make it about me, but to bring a sense of, oh, I'm feeling this and I'm wondering, are you feeling this also? Or what do you make of this? And I wonder if this is how this person feels when they also engage with you in this conversation. Or I'm feeling stuck and I'm wondering if that's how you feel. So I think it's important for you to feel like, for effective therapy, for you to feel like you can bring your feelings and you don't need to necessarily look after your therapist because they're too fragile to handle rejection. And is it rejection if you have done the work and you're ready to kind of like take off the training wheels? No, it's a real sign of growth and accomplishment, actually. And I think any good therapist will feel, well done, off you go. And
they'd feel pride.
They'd feel pride.
Genuine pride that you've got here.
Yeah. And so I frequently will anticipate, if I feel like sometimes we're getting a bit like, oh, like, are we done here? Are we not? I will always preempt the conversation to the point where some of my clients are like, are you trying to get rid of me? And I'm like, I'm really not. But I want you to feel okay to know that if you want to end, if you feel ready to end, let's go, let's do it. I'm here with you to end, rather than I need you for my ego, for my sense of self-worth to stay. No, I don't.
No.
So a really good therapist that's trained in this way will, in a relational way, will want to give you those wings to fly.
100%, because by being in the relationship with your client and by working in that relational way, you're creating a canvas for a relationship that they've possibly never had before. Mm-hmm. A canvas to show up authentically, to be accepted, which allows trust to develop, which allows deeper connections to develop. So then they can learn more about themselves. And I wonder, you talking about, I just don't know anymore. Like, I wonder if that's something you've learned about yourself that you maybe would have never even had that thought before. Like, I wonder if that in itself could be life-changing.
Exactly. The fact that you're becoming so self-aware.
Yes. And then to bring that into the relationship and to say, although I feel like we've got done so much, recently it's getting a bit samey. Not that you need to take care of them and be like, and but leave it there.
Yeah.
Sit in the silence of that.
Yeah.
And see what happens. But hopefully that trust that you've built through that connection, that canvas, that blueprint, is what's going to pull you through the uncertainty of which way is it going to go? Are we going to end? Can it be a good ending? Or actually, does that open up other pockets we've not looked at?
Yeah.
So that was like the first thought I had.
You also had a thought about endings, and can you end something that is good?
Yeah, which I'm kind of like touching on now, aren't I?
Yeah.
I think endings can be really powerful.
Yeah, they can. And especially if you plan an ending as well.
What have endings been like in your past? Have you had much control over them? Were they abrupt? Did you get closure to voice feelings, thoughts, opinions that you had? Did you even get the space to have those?
And were endings full of lots of different emotions, and those emotions were they hard to tolerate? Because even a good ending can still, even if you feel like it's right to end, you can still feel sad, you can still feel anxious, you can still have moments of uncertainty, and all of those things are valid.
But you need space for those, right? You need to have space to work through those rather than suppress those.
Exactly. Yeah. And, I've had some clients as well where I've had to let them know that for me, it's okay if you want to come back. Like, just because we're shutting the door now, we're closing the door now, doesn't mean that it's barred shut. And if in future you feel like, oh, I've hit a snag, or I'm going through a rough patch, or I'm going through an intense period of learning about something about myself, I need some support, you can always come back and we can have another run.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be black and white thinking either or, does it?
No.
It can very much be grey. It can be left, I'm here.
Yeah. And you can work that out with your therapist, because different therapists will work in different ways. I know some people who necessarily won't really offer that because they don't want to foster a sense of dependency for their clients to feel so dependent on them and like they can't do it by themselves. But I also think that it's also the real world. And life is tough. And we don't necessarily need to treat every situation in the same way or every therapy case in the same way, as long as you're still working in the parameters of like a safe and healthy therapeutic relationship. Maybe you can be a bit more malleable.
But I've had experiences where it's been left not open, but I'm here. I'm here. And I think maybe a couple of years later, when somebody did get back in contact, I was there, but I wasn't available. And I wasn't going to be available for some time, for some months.
Yeah.
And that person worked through it.
Yeah. Yeah. There's something that comes from ending or going your separate ways, which kind of fosters a sense of like, you can do it. Like, you're okay.
Yeah.
Like, even though things may be tough and you're going to hit some snags and you may feel really low at times or unsure, you have the skills to deal with those feelings if and when they arise in future.
It's reminding me a little bit about grief and grief work. And, we're taught how to love, we're taught how to connect, and that person, they come and they fill that in our lives. but we're not necessarily taught how to live when that's gone. And I wonder if you're kind of like touching on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, this person is so good, how do I continue without them there? Like, the history is so good.
Yeah.
The memory is so good.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But their voice, like, that's it though. They can be a memory. Their voice will go with you. You can make space for that in your heart.
Definitely. Definitely. And then the other thought I had was about the learning and maybe self-discovery, self-development.
Addiction.
Addiction.
I really liked that.
Which I don't mean it to sound judgmental at all, but that is also a thing, right? It is also a thing that people want to, I think especially people that are goal-oriented, maybe A-type, have really, have a lot of ambition. They can want to be learning something new every time. And I'm aware when I have these clients, because they'll come with a pen and paper to the session, and they're like, can you give me something to do? And that is very valid, and there is space for that in therapy. But sometimes I feel like when there's too much of that, it's like, okay, what are we avoiding, or not even necessarily avoiding? What is this fueling? What belief or core belief is this fueling? This need to constantly be achieving, making progress, learning new things.
I often get a sense of that being a lack of, not necessarily lack, but maybe a dip in trust in themselves.
Yeah.
Like, the pen and paper always reminds me of, obviously I encourage it, but when it's like, and I remember I used to do it myself in supervision. I'd be like, shh, like, I need to, like, this is all gold.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to lose it. And I remember the feedback very early on that I got, which has then really helped me if I have felt that with a client. Just trust. Trust yourself in this moment with me, that what I'm telling you, it's going to go in somewhere. You might not remember it word for word, but the quality, the flavour of it will hit you and touch you, and will probably be more profound than you writing it down.
Yeah. And something that I've, moved into doing, because I was the same with supervision up until like last month. But what I'm doing now is I'm letting it all soak in, and then later on that day I'm gonna sit with it. I'm like, right, what was the flavour? Like, what was the vibe? What was the learning? What was my gut feeling after supervision? And then write those nuggets down.
And I've also encouraged that in therapy when clients come to me. Like, have some time after the session, give yourself a bit of a block of like 20 minutes to just go and do a brain dump.
Yeah.
Like, get it all out, sit with it, let it journal itself, let it, if you're wanting that reminder, let it hold there. And I like the addiction part of, like, what can I discover more? And I think social media at the moment can also fuel that. Of like, do this course, do this, learn this about yourself. Are you doing this? Are you doing that? Are you doing this? And it comes back to that trust. You're then like, you're missing yourself a bit to have that trust of, okay, we've done a bit of work. Now let me go out in the world and do it. Let me see what that's like. The power of and. It can be scary. And I believe I can do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we've covered all the bases, haven't we?
one
Was there another one?
That I threw in right at the end, but I can't remember. I should have written it down.
Or maybe we trust that it didn't need to be said. Or
Maybe, exactly.
Like the explanation.
Okay, let me think for a second. No.
Yeah, I hope that's been helpful for you. I hope we've given you some food for thought.
It came to me.
Oh, okay.
The pressure to perform.
Yeah. I think you mentioned it a little bit.
Did I?
I think so.
I think I was mentioning it more in the sense of what was the anxiety about work about,
Oh,
and the
okay.
self-esteem piece.
Yeah.
And was it a performance one? And if you feel like it's solved, or not solved, if you feel like you have the skills to deal with it at work, has it basically moved on from it being pressure to perform at work to pressure to perform at therapy? Because that is also a psychological concept that can happen, where the focus becomes one domain, and then the theme, it just moves on to another area of your life. A bit like addiction in a way.
Yeah.
That you can tackle addiction, for example, let's say with drinking, and then it moves to eating.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it moves to phones or porn or whatever it might be. So I'm just wondering, is that maybe potentially going on, which is a lot deeper, which then would require further therapy
Yeah.
of anxiety with performance? Has it just found itself a new home?
Yeah. Yeah. And to kind of round off, I also do want to say that it is okay for you to move to a different therapist if you feel like there's a particular area that you want to lock in on, and maybe your therapist isn't necessarily well versed in that area. I know that I have referred clients on, like, trauma is not my bag, and if I feel like, okay, you really need to look at this trauma, here's someone that I can recommend.
My own therapist did it to me.
Yeah.
When I was in therapy, where when we were coming to the end, she made a suggestion of, I think that if you were to go to therapy again later on, maybe this type of therapist could be really useful for this bit that we haven't really unpacked as much.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'll leave it there. But yeah, I really hope that's been helpful for you, and thank you so much for that.
I loved that
question, 'cause
one.
That was a really good
Yeah,
one.
I feel like I could have talked about that for an hour.
Yeah. There's so much material in
Yeah.
there, isn't there?
Thank you for bringing that here. Thank you. That's really courageous.
Yeah, thank you. As always, if you want to share your dilemma with us, email us at hello@thetherapyfloor.com. And I've been Dr. Vicky.
I'm Dr. Ritz.
See you soon.
See you soon. Bye.